Okay, here's the next project. I'm still stuck on buildings, small building dioramas, and I'm gonna do this one from a photo that I found on the internet in Montecassino, Italy, when they destroyed the abbey and the German paratroopers, Fallschirmjägers, occupied it. There's a mortar team here, and I found a nice DML dragon set with the mortar and the Fallschirmjägers. I'm just going to use one mortar. So what I did is kind of scaled this drawing to about 1/35 scale. So I'm drawing it up right now on the plastic. And I kept looking at it, and I couldn't tell if this is a 90 degree or not. So I got my phone here and the camera and went inside one of my rooms in the house and stood in a position about like this. And with the, it looked like in the camera on my phone, this does look like 90 degrees. So I'm gonna go ahead and just make this 90 degrees and just kind of angle it so it looks like this in the diorama. The diorama is gonna have to be a little bit larger than my normal 3.5 by 3.5 that I've been doing. And the base is gonna have to be a little bit bigger. If I angle it, I might be able to go a little bit smaller. So once I cut it out, put it all together, I'll know how to make the base. So that being said, let's start getting at it and see what we can come up with here. Okay, here we've got what I've completed so far. Built it kind of without being it blown up yet. I've still got to cut out this section here to create this, but it's pretty much how I want it. And what I ended up doing is, after I've put it together here, I taped it up, and I've got it so I can figure out the size of a base that I'm gonna make. And it's gonna be 4 inches by 6 inches. I'm gonna put it right onto a piece of plastic, and then I'll build the sides of the base around that once I've got everything together. A lot of it's gonna be together once I start using the magic sculpt on it. I'm gonna have to create an entryway with walls inside, and I'm gonna cut this shorter. I don't need it that high. I just mainly want it for a photograph, for the video, and I don't need it that high. So the next thing I'm gonna start doing is build the base and cut this. And what I did here was I just got some strip styrene to create this radius, because I'm going to fill that with magic sculpt to create what I've done here, because I didn't feel like cutting out a piece of styrene round. I think I can just fill this in. When I put the wall from behind, I'm gonna put thin styrene here so it sticks out just a little so I can fill that in. And then let that dry, and then work on this and this to build them up, and then the other magic sculpt will go in here for the stone walls. And the this wall, just the outer layer almost looks like it just crumbled here. And what I'm thinking about doing is man, I crumbled up some aluminum foil, and I was like, wow. So I don't know if I can press this into the magic sculpt or not, but I'm gonna give it a try. But that's could be an option here, but I'll figure it out as I go. So let's get at working at the rest of this. Okay, this is a first for me. I've never done quite this extensive of a base where I actually make the whole base as part of the diorama, but I've done it out of the plastic. And as I've said before in the videos, this plastic comes from sign shops. This is what they throw away, their scraps. And I take the biggest pieces from their scrap pile, and then I can make these. So there's no cost in here either. If anybody really knows me, I try to go as low cost as possible, everything. You see, I have my pastels and my oil paints, and that's what I use exclusively for everything. Just a handful of acrylic paints, probably a lot less than most people have. So it's just the way I do it. I like being a craftsman, I guess, and trying to figure out stuff with things that are available. I'm going to go ahead and put a top on this as well. The inside's going to have a wall here. It's going to have this. It's going to have something here. And then everything's painted black in there to kind of show. It'll come out hopefully like looking like that in photos. And then these sides I'm going to end up cutting so that way it just looks like maybe some rubble here, but I'm going to go up to there and come up there. But I'm gonna wait for everything to glue really well and set up. But I'll have to sand probably some of these edges and maybe fill it. I don't know. I've got them pretty good though. Everything came out good. I measured it out fairly well. You've got to go and understand when you're measuring. You've got your thickness of the plastic. So make sure whatever thickness of plastic you have or you're using, that you account for that. And yeah, I'm really happy with this so far. If I can get this wall to look right, this is the crew, and I'm going to use these 3 figures, and this guy here actually there's 2 wearing helmets. They're Luftwaffe division guys, and I've got a guy in a gray coat left from one of my other sets. I'll show you later, and I'm going to use a guy with a great coat just to give some differences in uniforms to replace this guy. And I'm going to use probably more of this color uniform and maybe just do the splinter on this one, so that way I have a combination of uniforms, and these 2 guys will be like this, and they'll be a lot easier to paint. I think they're going to look really good. I've got some Hornet heads that I'll replace that I bought for Fallschirmjägers with the helmets, and I think it's going to be cool because this guy is going to have a regular helmet, but I'm going to paint his great coat in the field blue color, which will be really kind of cool. Set this thing off with some diversity, so can't wait to see that. So let's get at it. Okay, I've made a lot of progress. So what I've done so far here is I added a piece of thin styrene sheet to create this ceiling on the arc here. And I've left it extended a little bit like this so I could fill it to achieve this this right here. And I noticed that the floor, I put a 35th scale figure in here and stood them up, and this was way too high. So I'm going to have to put a floor in here, and it just has to mainly be able to be an area where I can set the mortar and the team, and anywhere around it's going to be rubble and rocks, things like that. So I'm not worried too much about the floor. I cut down the sides and I added a top. So the whole thing now is just a one big base. I've never done one like this, quite like this before. I've always cut them out of pieces of wood base or plastic base, or added some siding, you know, give some different levels. But this is a first like this. So I'm pretty excited about it. I know that what's going to slow me down the most is this on the top of the gate, because that's what this was, a gate. And I guess this one probably, when this came down, it all came down with that. So I've got to come up with a way to make this, and I'm still debating how I'm going to do it. It's going to have to be with evergreen rod strips somehow. So that being said, let's get working on this again and start putting the floor in and other things that I have to do. Another thing, the tools that I use are a good straight edge, a ruler, a good knife, sanding sticks. I use this needle nose plier to grab pieces of plastic, smaller pieces, to snap them once they're scored. On this particular, for the radiuses, a compass, glue, a pen or pencil. I've used both of them here. And it's funny, years and years ago, I submitted some photos to Tamiya photo contest, probably in the late 80s, and they sent me these, it says Tamiya on there. They sent me these, I guess I got like, I placed like 3rd place or something. They put my photo in, I think it was called Pakai. Anyhow, they sent me these, which are kind of nice. They can cut at an angle, styrene, so those are nice. And then these I've used forever. These have the Tamiya logo, and these are just nippers for, you know, getting parts off the sprue, which I've used forever. They're really nice. Just use them for plastic. Don't use them for anything else, and they'll stay good. So anyway, that's some tools there, and tape. All right, back at it. All right, I added the subfloor, let's just call it, and then what I'm gonna have to do is make another thin floor on top of this with some type of stonework floor that they had. I've been kind of looking at some of the photos. Most of it's square off stones, or really elaborate art looking stones with artwork in them or design. So I actually downloaded a few floor plans of the Abbey, the Montecassino, and I'm kind of looking at those just to maybe to just do something kind of cool. I don't know yet. I think I need to get the magic sculpt out and just start doing something with it. These areas will be filled in with debris, rubble. And I'm really noticing this now by some other photos that the bottom pieces broke off. I found a photo with this still intact, and there's a larger beam across here. And I've got a photo I'll put up, and this is just left, stuck on the top. So this is going to be interesting to make. I could lay it all out and lay it down on this paper with the styrene round strips, and kind of put something together. But I'm gonna have to really get good measurements here. So that being said, and then this looks like an altar or some kind of beaming. It's something that maybe fell from a higher story or something, or it blew up and landed there. I don't know. It looks like it's part of the debris. It could be beams, but it looks like perfectly square here, so rectangular, whatever. I'm gonna have to make that out of something because I do want to add that. It looks kind of cool. I'm not gonna have two mortars, only one mortar. But yeah, it's coming along, so let's get at it and start tearing up more stuff here. Well, I guess I was too ambitious, and when I was building the skeleton of this thing, I didn't even notice that was torn up too, and I had put it all on there. So I got my Dremel tool and I tore it up, so it'll be ready to make it look a little more like that one. I tell you, you can look at a photo a million times and miss stuff, and that was like blatant. But I'm glad I caught it, and I'm glad I caught this right here. And the rest of it, you know, this is let's just say roughly based on this photo. So I got to get the putty out, and I'm going to start putting putty on this thing. So let's get at it. Okay, I got some putty put on. I've added the flooring here, and I used the straight edge just to get the line straight. And then I went in with the tool that I had made, and I kind of rounded the edges and kind of made them a little more lifelike looking instead of perfect. I've added putty all around here to sure things up. At some point, I think I'm going to do the walls, get them done, leave this open, because I'm going to have to put the figures, I'm going to have to build the figures and the mortar, set them up on here, because I got to understand where they're going to be, so that way I can put rubble all around them and not interfere with their placement. And I think I can do the walls, though, get them done, get all the walls done, as I said, and then I can work on the rubble after the figures. I'm going to put them all here, kind of mark their positions and make sure the rubble doesn't interfere with their activities. And yeah, it's coming together. I may have to put the spackling into the floor stones there before I paint it, which won't be a problem. With the rubble, it's all going to be a big mess. So that's going to be fine. So yeah, it's coming out pretty good. You know, it almost looks like this is walking into the courtyard from outside. Can't really tell. I've been studying and studying the you know, the drawings, and that one drawing that shows the piece up here that's still intact and the soldiers running towards it. It does look like it's going into the monastery. So that's interesting. You know, it's going to have its limits here. There's going to be a lot of rubble here to try to take care of this spot for photographs. This, I'm not too worried. It's going to be really dark. That's okay. I want it dark like the photos. So let's get at it and start putting on some more putty. Okay, I've added a little more work to it, adding some of the magic sculpt for the flooring, some more flooring in here and in here. So next I'm going to start the wall, doing the stonework. I've really been kind of excited to do that. So let's get some magic sculpt put together and we'll start working on it. Okay, I've added the stonework on pretty much all of it. I added the clock just to kind of see. It took me about an hour from the start of kneading the magic sculpt together to actually applying it and then carving out the stones. It took a little, maybe an hour, a little over an hour. I did a little something different. I pressed in crumbled up aluminum foil just to get a little extra texture and grain into the stones. I'm pretty pleased with it. I think it's starting to really look like something. And I added this in here just as a filler, the aluminum foil. So there's going to be a lot of rubble here. I think I'm going to make some of the gate, like the gate, there's a gate that opens up here. I can tell in the photo. I'm going to put that gate kind of open, so you barely see it. I'll have to make that out of styrene rod strip. May put some in the rubble here where the gate got blown down. And yeah, everything's coming out good. As you can see, the skeleton that I make first, you know, makes it so I can do all this where it's not all stuck together, and doing it in steps and letting the magic sculpt dry makes it a lot easier when you put stuff around it so it doesn't just stick and you ruin what you've done before. So I can, you know, press against the edges here, just straighten everything out. So that being said, the next thing I'm going to do is put some spackling in here. And I don't think I'm going to put it in here. I might put some, maybe I will. And then once I do that, I need to build the figures out so that way I can set them in here so I don't put rubble or any more of the sculpting over where the figures are going to need to be. So that's going to put a halt on the construction of this. So that being said, let's get at it. All right, I've got to start assembling the figures. I'm going to use this figure here. He's going to be one of these guys with the helmet, which he will actually be this guy once I put these guys together. I'm going to use these three and the mortar, obviously. This is a pretty nice set from Dragon. I checked it out online. You want to, when you look at these figures, you know, Ron Volstad's art is amazing, so they're never going to look like that exactly. But I try to find photos of them off the sprue, which somebody has completed them, and I can kind of tell if they're decent or not, and these look decent. So I'm going to start assembling these so that way I can lay them out on the diorama so everything will fit, wherever I put rubble, etc. So let's get at it. All right, well, this is why you do testing and fitting, and the guy that I wanted to use with the great coat is way too large. Look at that. And these are all dragon figures too. So plans are going to change, and he's out. And I guess this guy's back in. The fourth figure in the set. So I know pretty much where I've got to leave space for these guys. So I'm going to go ahead and put the spackle down in between the stones on the floor there. And I'm going to mark it so I know where to leave rubble out, or at least a lot of rubble. So let's get at it. I've marked out where the figures are going to go after I put the spackle, and the spackle's dry. The floor is looking really good. I've got a bunch of magic sculpt here ready to go, so I'm going to finish all this up right here, this destroyed area, and some piles here. And I made this thing here out of plastic and wood that's going to go right here, kind of similar to in the photo. So that being said, let's get at it and then finish up the magic sculpt so I don't have to use magic sculpt anymore. This part of the building's done. I stuck this into the drying magic sculpt, and it's that right there. So now I have some crushed up, there's a brick I have in my yard that I save, and I bust pieces off it to create this rubble that I'm going to use for around the building here. So I'm going to put that down with white glue, PVA glue, and let that dry and keep moving. Okay, the crushed up brick has been glued down, and it's all on here pretty good. I'm really looking forward to painting this, so I've got to work on the figures now. Looking at their placement again, get them going. And I still got to get that iron piece for up here. That's the one that's just on my mind all the time, how I'm going to do it. But we'll get it done. All right, let's get on some figures and then keep moving along. It's just all different types of processes and steps I have to do here. So let's get in. Okay, the figures are done for the most part. I wanted to use hornet heads, but they were way too large also. So I have two heads from Alpine on two of the figures. The other two are from the kit. Since their faces are down, I'm not too worried about those. The fourth guy I had to use instead of the one I wanted earlier that I talked about with the great coat. He's going to work out good. Got the ammo box there for the mortar rounds. Going to have a couple more in there somewhere, piled up, stacked up, whatever, maybe a few weapons. So that being said, the figures are going to come off now, and I'm going to start painting the scene, or getting it ready for painting. I still have that iron piece to put above the doorway there. And maybe a few other little details I'm going to add to the walls. But then we're going to start painting. So let's get at that and finish this base up. Okay, it's time to make this part of the gate, the top part, which has been my least favorite part that I knew I was going to have to tackle. So what I've done here is put a piece of styrene in here, a piece of styrene across, thin, and then I have some rod strip that I'm going to put in place here. Man, if I knew how to solder really well and wanted to really get elaborate, I could probably cut out some metal pieces and solder them, but not in this build. So let's get at this and see what I can get accomplished. Okay, it looks like I just fought a war here, but I'm done. I fudged on the top of that gate best I could. That's actually stretched sprue in there to make up what I couldn't do with the other ones. Actually, if I would have done the whole thing with stretched sprue, it probably would have looked really cool, but I'm not changing it. It'll do for this, and I'm ready to paint it. I'm going to paint it black now, and that's how I'm going to know pretty much how it's going to look. And I'm looking forward to seeing that. It gives me a really good idea of the way this thing's going to come out and look when it's painted. So let's get at it. Well, and there you have it. I'm pretty pleased with this. This is the first time I've made this elaborate of a base in a long time. And the actual diorama itself is one that I really am excited about. I can't wait to see this painted. So I'll be really working on it a lot. It's all just painted flat black from a spray can, and I'll start painting on it. I want to get it finished, and then I'll start painting on the figures. So stay tuned. Thanks for watching.